I don't think Genshin needs any introduction. You know it, everyone knows about it. Probably one of, if not, the most well-known gacha game ever. If you can't tell from the title of this video, in this video I'm going to be as nitpicky, bad faith, hypercritical, hypocritical, subjective, biased, and many more adjectives a reviewer shouldn't have. Too long didn't watch. This is a video dunking on Genshin. So Genshin fans, feel free to call me out. I started playing Genshin around like 1 week after the game released. I can't remember now, but I would say I'm one of those back in my days people now. Been actively play until economy updates, then I got burned out and become a seasonal player, only come back when new major region drop alongside our conquest. With that out of the way, do you know what it feels like playing Genshin knowing you are too broke to buy any one-time purchase game and you essentially have no other choice if you just want to play a decently produced, casual game? It feels like you're stuck in a toxic relationship. You want out, but your partner continues to be a manipulative D-bag and somehow managed to convince you to stuck with the current relationship and status quo. So, when there was a new hottie in the block, I finally got a reason to quit this godforsaken game for Wuthering Waves, since Meijo is quite literally a healthier version of Genshin. That is not to say Meijo is a perfect game. There is some aspect that frankly, Wuthering Waves fumbled the bag hard, and Genshin it just did it better. That being, a decently written main story, world quest, and very appealing art style and direction. But that's it. You know what, I like to retract my statement earlier. I mean, the one about this game have a decently written story. What I meant is, Genshin has a well-written arc, or episode even. I'm probably too media illiterate to notice this, but please, Genshin fans, tell me, what even is Genshin main story? The traveler finds their ruins? Teva secrets? Archon? Celestia? Abyss? Abyss Order? There is a clear overarching plotline, but we are 5 years in real life time into this game and I have yet to see the picture of endgame of Genshin. Well, at least for the part 1 if Honkai Impact 3 is anything to go by. In every Archon missions, it feels like we do a series of a very long side quest just to get some breadcrumb to the main story. You know what? A breadcrumb would be a compliment considering how little it is compared to, you know, how long it is to get to that breadcrumb. And the quest that directly ties to the traveler is any quest with the enslaved only come once in a while. Coupled with their tendency to focus on the small tidbits of the setting for the sake of ensure there is content left for more updates and potentially extend the game life make me lost any interest in this game main story to the point I want to skip everything together, but I can't! I can't excuse the lack of skip button and at least grit my teeth through the slog that is Genshin Archon Quest. But I can't say the same with the World Quest because I just don't care. They didn't even put an effort for me to make me care for it. I was not this cynical when Inazuma dropped and when I went through a Kasari quest. Genuinely, that quest was a blast. I think it was the first time a faceless NPC in this game has a funny dialogue full of sass and being a big part of the world quest. Not to mention, every player who went through that quest learned a lot of Inazuma lore, and at the end of the quest, it left me sad. Now, you might say, isn't this also true for every long-ass world quest? Yes, that is true. But the problem is, it's stayed the same. There is no voice acting despite its significance to the region lore. I can't excuse Kasari Quest because if I remember correctly, Kasari Quest was the first of this format. And one improvement that I can think of for the quest was literally, wow, it would be so cool if the quest is voice acted and she has a custom model, which to be fair to the game, voice acting isn't necessary for a good storytelling. It can enhance the experience, but not necessary. お邪魔します。Oh hey, Shin-Jin. You're back. はい、お医者さんが仕事を辞めろと言いました。About that, I'm sorry. Please don't quit this job. I don't want that put into the script. 先輩、気にしないでください。俺辞めませんよ。俺辞めたら、先輩が絶対に役に立たなくて思った心配ですよ。ชินไปจีกันนอกเวลางานด้วยชินทำงานต่อไอ้ทีทำงานกับนี้ได้ไงวะเนี่ยそうですよねプロデューサーさんなんでしょう先輩質問ですさっきのセリフですけどアークナイスのストーリーはどうですかストーリーにも声優がないので Call me biased if you want but the difference between Arknight's lack of voice acting is that they don't shove the story down my throat I can pretend like they don't exist or at the very least I can treat this as a low budget visual novel because that is what it is and it doesn't pretend like it was something else Is that a shallow reason? Yeah, you bet your ass it is. But I don't want to just sitting here reading whatever something else happening on the screen as in there is an attempt to produce some animated scene but there is no voice acting to help you immerse in the quest or make it feel natural. It looks awkward, it feels awkward, it cheapened the production value. While a game like Arknight's Punishing Caravan, Wuthering Waves or hell even Celestone Zero tries to present a very long ass story, there is a skip button. And in Zero case, the side quest is very short. However, I am more than willing to sit down and read through their entire story to do some catch up, side story included, for a simple reason of the developer respect my time. Not everyone in this days and age has a time to sit down and read the story with a word count easily worth of one book. Having a skip button and story that is readily available whenever you want to experience it and no content is locked behind the story is the equivalent of developer saying, hey, we understand you guys doesn't always have the time to read our long ass story, but if you want to read it, be our guest. It's right here. I hope you enjoy it. And this approach gets me interested in Arknights and PGR setting than Genshin ever could. You know how intrusive it is that you just want to do a dailies, activate waypoint or reaching a new region for the first time only to be unwillingly dragged into a scripted world quest. This approach might pique your interest, but for me, it make me hate the quest and the game for a simple fact that it is wasting my time. I didn't choose to play the quest, so why do I have to sit through this seemingly low effort, unskippable dialogue for the first few times? It sure created wonders and make me want to experience the world more. But when it become more and more and more and more and more frequent and longer, it stopped being, oh wow, this is so cool, and become, Circle back to the topic of low production value. Let's talk about Genshin stock animation. Making new animation takes time and it can be difficult. I would have known. I tried it during my high school year, but I don't think it should excuse animation looking so stiff it make every scene awkward. I don't know how much people put manpower and money into making a standardized stock animation across all models, but if all of that investment is for essentially a set of avatar emotes for a commentary channel equivalent, it doesn't seem like a good investment for me. How about stop over-design your characters, put the manpower and money into animating newer, better stock animation instead of animating those long-ass clawed physics? I want to complain more about this game presentation, but just this alone made me really angry when I just writing the script. So I'm just gonna do a lightning round. Model variety suck. Lore revealing event is a limited time event. FOMO to the max. Paimon yapping. Companion quest where you learn more about the NPC than the supposed companion. Honey, where is my skip button? With that out of the way, let's move on to the gameplay. As everyone knows, Genshin has two main gameplay, exploration and combat. However, neither of which is to my liking. Let me ask you this. Do you like exploration in Genshin? Oh, there is people who actually like exploration in this game. Oh crap. Okay, let me move the goalpost. Do you like exploration in Genshin without using when I'm not forgetting anyone, right? I imagine some of you really is going to say, nah, since that is my honest opinion too. But exploration doesn't have to be bad. I mean, I like Lunatic with exploration. What's the deal here? The difference just boils down to Genshin movement is just bad. One thing that is unironically hinder the experience and downright has no place in the game is stamina bar. When was the last time stamina bar is a net positive to this game experience? The one and only instance that I can say it is a net positive was during the early game, as in during Mondstadt and Liyue's storyline, due to the fact that exploration around that section has to take limited stamina into account when designing the maps, and your most tangent progression was your stamina bar getting longer, which ties to exploring Mondstadt and Liyue to collect the collectibles. Other than that, it quite literally served nothing to the experience. Oh, what's that? You want to move from point A to point B? That doesn't have a waypoint! You have your standard walk, or running until you deplete all of the stamina. If you're a little bit more fancy and want to take quality of life improvement into your own hand, you'll have to look up the movement tech on YouTube, which are dash rhythmically and bunny hopping, neither of which is particularly fun to do for an extended period of time. And then there's climbing. Arguably the worst part of exploration in this game, if a basic lateral or horizontal movement, if you prefer, is akin to experience psychological torture. Vertical movement in this game is the fire that burns every player remaining sanity. As bad as lateral movement is, you are still moving from point A to point B. Even when you run out of stamina, you just move at a snail pace. Climbing isn't. If you are running out of stamina and you can't find the foothold to regen those stamina, prepare to do the slow climbing all over again. And one more reason that makes climbing feels much worse than lateral movement is that the choice is a lie. How many times that constantly jumping? Dashing? Hopping? Whatever this is a better option than slowly climbing when you're exploring those areas for the first time. I mean, hey, losing progress from a very high mountain isn't exactly a fun thing to do all over again. Janky movement option alone doesn't make exploring feels bad. I'm going to go back to Meijo as an example. Meijo's wall run, specifically, lateral wall run has some jank to it. But it never was or is a problem to the point it diminished my enjoyment of exploring. The other factor that makes me truly hate this game movement is physics. When I talk about physics in Genshin, I'm strictly talking about momentum. For a multi-billion-dollar video games, this game has surprisingly one of, if not the worst momentum in every game I have ever played, developed by using Unity engine. If you're going to blame it on Unity physics is jank, I beg to differ. Look at Ori and the Blind Forest. That game also used Unity engine, and it has smooth verging on perfect movement. And speaking from my experience using Unity from my university final project, Unity physics can be janky if you don't know what you are doing. The offender of terrible momentum and physics are these two: the dash along geometry and the lack of momentum when you cancel gliding. For the former, I can understand if it is Unity inherent jank, because if I remember correctly, I did experience it too, but I don't think this should be in the product of multi-billion-dollar company. Same goes for the latter too. I can't say I know every single line of code of this game or its data structure. I mean, if I can, I have been working in some game developing studio by now. Its code might be a spaghetti mess or the cleanest looking code with the comments on every single line of code. But whatever might be the case, Genshin developer handled or, well, improved this game movement in the worst way possible, that being region locked or context-based prompt, and locked behind gacha wall. I can at least understand the region locked or the context-based prompt or restriction. It is not easy to implement a new function into the already existing stuff, as those might cause a problem. I mean, I don't want to deal with a countless bug warning either. But lock something like the ability to run forever, run faster, mid-air jump, ignore swimming, better climbing, having a mid-air momentum, grappling hook behind gacha wall is a real scummy move. If you're going to cope with, but you really don't need those abilities to explore. I got a question for you. I'm sorry, Scottish person. Would you rather 1. Open up your team page, which for some godforsaken reason needed to be loaded in and out. Swap to the running or exploration team when you just want to move quickly, which, let's be honest, slightly faster. Or 2. Stick with whatever team you are playing, then rhythmically dash or bunny hopping. Or if you are lucky, your team comp contains someone who has a movement ability. 3. Just hear me. Just hold shift for a few seconds and you can run infinitely. Now, having a bad movement and janky physics isn't necessarily a bad thing when the game is built around exploration. Maybe the point of the game is you are a part of the world. You are not him, not her, or whatever for non-binary. Hold on, producer. Are you sure this is the right script?
มั่นใจ
Will they catch the reference?
มั้งไม่ใช่อนิเมะดังสักหน่อย
What do you mean, maybe? What do you mean you don't know?
หนักสุดแล้วก็แค่โดนด่า
Okay, whatever you say, chef. You are not there to effortlessly stand at the top of the world. You have to earn that title. You have to earn that position. But that is, if the reward is worth your time and effort. And again, the game is built around that. Which Genshin isn't. No way in hell the premium currency worth of 1/32 or 1/16 of the single pool worth like 5 minutes to endure this movement. I'm gonna go a bit off topic here. Someone did a calculation to demonstrate that Genshin is just as generous as Stario during the Genshin Could Never debacle. Which may be true, I think. But that means you have to explore and open every single chest in one particular region. And let's not mention it's a one-time thing too. Which I did. I did. In preparation to Raiden Shogun debut banner. And let me tell you, it's not fun. The movement aside, I managed to save around 16,000 primo, but only after I lost my 50-50 to Jane, and I still had to trade those gold star glitter, I can't remember the name, to finally get her right around before the banner ended. All that effort, all my time, fucking went down the drain because RNG still has the final say to what you are getting for your effort. I should have been smarter and used those time to go out socialize, meeting new people, hanging out with the boys playing arcade games, actually focus on studying, or went to psychiatrist. Genshin development team, specifically those who have the final say or can affect this project, like director, shareholder, and producer, really took the create the problem, sell the solution to heart. And this will be even more apparent and to the game detriment in the combat section, which is about now. This game combat has never felt great to play. I have said that every action gacha title is essentially about a masher, it just to a different extent in Sensero review. But Genshin has never clicked with me. When you play action gacha games or, well, any game for that matters, there will be a moment that you just get the gameplay. You feel it, you fell for it, and by God, you fucking love it. I might have talked about Sensero combat being the epitome of modern masher, but Sensero is legitimately easy to play, easy to understand, easy to master, and on top of that, there is a system that encourages or entice player to break up the static nature of rotation with a worthwhile trade-off, and as much as I hate to admit this, it feels really good to play. With that being said, what does Genshin have? A glorified RPG gameplay loop of apply buff, debuff, and dealing damage? Genshin combat doesn't have any depth. You know it's bad when every character's gameplay boils down to skill, ult, stay on the field to do some basic attack or more skill in their kits if that unit is a DPS, then change to another unit. Now, you might have said, what about elemental reaction? But let me be frank here. Even now, I still think that elemental reaction is added so that Genshin can be called just a Breath of the Wild ripped off. Because what is this? Why are there a can-cause reaction pair of elements? And why these two elements only has one reaction across the board? I'm kinda getting off topic and getting too far ahead, but how this system affect combat can be described as overcomplicating the unnecessary stuff. There is things the game has never tells you, some of which can affect your damage. Things like ICD, strong element, weak element, elemental gauge. I don't know if there is more, so correct me if I'm wrong. Or the tutorial section or guide section of the game changed to mention this or reflect this. This gives an illusion of depth to this game. Instead of player had to be mechanically competent, players are encouraged to do a spreadsheet instead of playing the game to find the optimal rotation for maximizing damage. Yes, in order to find optimal rotation and theory crafting, players still have to play the game, but in the end, it doesn't even matter because the gameplay revolves around static rotation that can be boiled down to skill, alt, some gimmick here, and rotate. What am I trying to say is, once you found the optimal rotation, there is no need for you to deviate from that rotation because that is the optimal way, and there is nothing to encourage you into playing differently. The game doesn't even reward you for properly dodging enemy attack. If anything, it punish you because you dodge, meaning you are not dealing damage. Which isn't a good thing because Abyss is a DPS check game mode. Speaking of DPS check in the endgame content, who thought putting a boss that has invulnerable face into this game mode, which is a DPS check, was a good idea? But the player already deals a metric tons of damage. I see no problem with that. I mean, the boss had her ice face just encourage players to play smart, right? Yeah, it does. But it doesn't feel good to play, or it feels fun. Not only that reason alone, it also feeds into the vicious cycles of nudging player into roll every newer mod OP DPS unit. I know crying about limited character being OP in a gacha game is a bit of a retard behavior, but that isn't my point. Remember about create problem, sell the solution, and how it harmed the game more than you think earlier? Because holy I have never seen such a marketing as bad as this. Well, it's not exactly marketing, but it's like business strategy. Oh, what's that? Crystallize bad? Oh well, let's make a character that has a gimmick scaling with how many times Crystallize is proc. Overload is bad? Slap a 4-star support and call it a day. Also, good luck to all you try getting her. Freeze is either nice or useless. Well, just make a character that kinda works with freeze then. Problem solved. Oh, plunging attack is useless for 99% of the combat scenario? Oh, don't worry. Make one character that has ultimate that give him a pogo stick. Oh, also, make another one. This one enable every unit to be able to use a plunging attack when she uses her ultimate. Burning sucks. Yes! Here, you enabler. And your DPS. Bloom itself is too unrealistic to be a viable choice for damage? Oh, don't worry. Look at this one of the characters of all time. I don't blame any Genshin player that would think the developer just treat him as a piggy bank to be break or cow to be milk, when they pretty much make every band-aid or fixes into a characters and lock them behind a gacha wall, instead of directly fixing the issue. At this point, I'm fully expecting they will make a characters in order to fix physical damage and enable heavy attack to be somewhat playable. For Christ's sake, this game gimmick is elemental reaction. Why don't you polish those and push those aspects? I know why. It's money. What else it will be? Why is there a neglect elemental reaction? Are we gonna pretend like Electro-Charged, Superconduct, and Shatter doesn't exist? And you know what? This is going to be a hot take, or maybe it's a cold take, but because of I didn't interact with the meta of the community for a really long time. Server as reaction itself is bad. What makes this broken is we reset and, you know, each anime characters kind of buff damage. And since this game is about elemental reaction, why are there elemental players that can react together? What is the justification for this? Do you fear that player is going to be overwhelmed by math? And you forget that you add all of this into the game in the first place? We already passed that point ever since the first patch. Or you guys were just thinking, oh yeah, this is a tech demo, but you know what? Let's just release it. Wouldn't it be funny if it is a massive hit and make us so much money? This game legitimately make me angry with the perpetual states of 2 steps forward and 15 steps backwards. I mean, off the top of my head, there is Dailies. As a standard, we have 4 missions across the map in one particular region, and you have to go do it every day, or else you don't get those sweet 60 primo. Just loading time alone make it feels like a chore. It's not fun, and it is a time waster. You know, when I heard the Dailies is getting reworked, I was excited like everyone else. That is until I see it with my own eyes. I have never lose high faster than that ever again. Honestly, what the f is this half-task railroad you into do something even more time-wasting? Would you say just go explore and open the chest? Is a faster option in the game notoriously bad when it comes to movement? Would you really say, oh, just play a story quest, event quest, or, companion quest? Is a faster option than just do full commission? Why is there this stipulation? If you can reward player for seeing through a yaffest of a quest with a full commission done, why can't they just use stamina to complete all full commission? Are you trying to get every player into Stockholm Syndrome or sunk cost fallacy so that every player can keep playing? Newsflash is not working, at least not for me! And this has an account the Battle Pass mission. Why is this mission and this can't coexist? As in, I can't finish together. Because it already finished with this quest? I got that bullshit! Yeah. Then there is the new endgame mode that got backlash upon arrival, which was during the time I stopped playing Genshin. I saw some posts and thread about it, read about it, and throw it in the bin, forgotten. Until I tried it myself. All I can say is, you have one objective and you fumble it. Great job, producer, director, and shareholder. Also designer. I don't think the difficulty is a problem. It's just too boring and you never feel like in control of anything. I know it's the nature of roguelike genre or game mode that you have some sort of element being randomized. That's what makes the genre fun and has infinite replay value, but this game mode really went all in on the randomizing aspect of the genre. The quote, everything is randomized. While it is an exaggerated statement regarding imaginary theater, it isn't that far from the truth either. You get a new characters? You get a random characters or the same elements, with a condition of that characters has to be either what you set to be a support unit or they are allowed in that season. The elemental reaction buff you get is also random, meaning if you have a skill issue like me, it can lead to a situation where your roster doesn't have any characters for that reaction and you can only refresh for 2 times. If you are not like me, i.e. you don't have skill issue, you probably won't run into that situation, but there is another problem. However, let me preface with this. The idea of forcing players into playing non-meta or less popular characters is an interesting idea. I like that and I'm all for that. But the problem is, again, good idea, terrible execution. Because every unit you can obtain in Imaginary Theater are randomized and has only 2 charges, you will never have the optimal comp for any particular unit, including those less popular or non-meta units. Meaning, you do not see them for their kits and what they offer. You play them because they have the element for the buff reaction. No one learned anything about these unit role and capabilities from using them in Imaginary Theater. Personally, I'd rather have them make a pre-made static team of non-meta units and gain a random buff akin to how it is in Elysian Realm or Simulated Universe than whatever convoluted mess this is. From what I've heard and read, initially the problem with Imaginary Theater was due to horizontal investment. As opposed to Honkai Star Rail, this game has never encouraged players to do so. Building every character to 80 or 90 was considered as a hobby or, well, an actual endgame content in itself. Not only there wasn't a game mode to promote horizontal investment, the game also has a material available on a specific day. The game literally cut you from building any unit you want. Meaning, if you have a life to live, a job to do, a bills to pay, or you aren't terminally online, you are not going to get that many characters built. But you can just do an artifacts run, right? I mean, yeah, you could. But know that you are potentially wasting your time and reason on a system that is based on a layer of RNG on top of another layer of RNG on top of another layer of RNG. Instead of spending those time and reason to farm something else like certain materials that has a clear endpoint. And speaking of artifact, oh boy, this is the most overhyped and overglazed to high heaven by many Genshin played when it was announced. Yes, everyone, I was talking about the customized artifact that is even better than Starios and Sen Zero. I mean, wow! You can even choose the substat too. Now that's some good.
Yeah.
But learning from how they improved Dailies, I have doubt like all caps. I don't believe it's going to be that good without a catch. Although I wish I was wrong because it will be a net positive for everyone. But alas, I was right to temper my expectation because what we got is a borderline spit in our face by Genshin devs. In Sen Zero and Stario, every custom-made artifact equivalent piece cost exactly one of the needed currency. But for God's only no reason, Genshin directors, producer, and designer decide to be different. Hypothetically, if you want to make something like, let's say, a goblet piece with a specific main stat plus crit rate and crit damage substat, you are looking at 7 of the currency, which equates to like at least 4 months of playing this game. Because you can only obtain this item once per patch. Just to get the seemingly perfect goblet piece, that can still go wrong. But wait! There's more! Remember the focus mode for Iron Quest? I was hoping and thinking, oh wow, it would be so good if this will apply to every quest going forward. Which turns out, only Iron Quest has this privilege. I experienced this during Vahida birthday event. I was doing the event story, but because I can't be bothered to complete the most white-bread, vanilla, blandest characters Kumeru companion quest that is Neil companion quest, I had to stop doing the event quest and mash the ever-loving out of my mouse and spacebar just to get through her quest so that I can continue with the event story. Okay, I swear this is going to be the last thing I'll complain in this video. I don't understand their insistence to not give older unit or outdated unit a much deserved buff or update. Okay, partially it once again has to do with money, but from what I have seen on the internet, it has something to do with Chinese law apparently? Which some say the law forbid change to characters after the release, or some say it just fell into a false advertisement case. Whatever may be the case, if a smaller company title like PGR and Arknight can give up to the older characters and keep them either fun or relevant, what stops here from give these units a much deserved buff or updates? I don't think any of the long-time fans would complain or get mad about their older unit getting buffed to the point they would go on their way to file a lawsuit.
อย่าบอกนะว่ามึงลืมเรื่องของไฟแฟกเตอร์ไปแล้ว
忘れましたか? Oh, right, yeah. The bunny girl incident. My bad, I forgot about that. I come back to this game this time just to get a 3D look so I can finally complete the Devil May Cry at home team because, well, I just want to do a cool attack combo string. Without that, I would just come back right around 5.2 when the story should be ending and the Pyro Archon is released. If it was the usual schedule, to fool her, build her, and forget to log into the game until Shania drop and repeat the cycle once again. Coming back to this game makes me realize how much I hate this game and remind me why I quit this game in the first place. My enjoyment with this game is no more, and there's still more stuff that I really hate that I won't touch because just writing the script alone makes me really angry, and it's not good for me, so here's the list. I'm not here to say you can't enjoy Genshin or it is wrong for you to enjoy Genshin. I mean, sure, I'm a Genshin fan in this video, but just for creating an unfunny joke. If you like the game, great! More power to you! Since we will make more content for the games, so don't let me, a random on the internet with anger issue, tells you what to enjoy. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you very much for bearing with my unhinged rant until this point. I wish you all to have a good night and a great day ahead of you.
บ๊ายบาย